Hey, what's up, party people? How's it going? Hope you're well today. Hope that you are coming through this quarantine exactly as planned. That we can start to see some lights at the end of the tunnel. And so I want you guys to let me know that you're here. Who's here? Who's watching? Let me know in the comments. Like and share. Don't be a square. Like and share. Like and share it so it reminds everybody that we are live, that we're ready to go. What's up, Klein? How are you? I already said what's up to Briley and Cole and my aunt. And hey, guys, while you're coming in, thanks for being so faithful. You guys each week, I see your names when you come in the comments. Thank you so much for being so faithful and not kind of giving up on gathering together and hanging out, even if it's online, even if it's just me talking to you through a screen. But thanks for thanks for hanging in there with us. Ryan O'Loughlin says hello. Elizabeth says hola, Justine. Justine's not here. No, it's just me. So there's no one else in this building except me. So it feels like I just talked to myself for an hour, unless y'all comment. So Cole, you're going down, Klein. Okay, already the smack talk. What's up, Jack? Give me the wave. Hola, Ava. Cole says, meet again at the crossing next week. Not so fast, my friend. 25% with social distancing is really hard for us to do. And if you were here, you wouldn't like it. So I can just tell you that it would not be the same. We can't serve food. We can't do anything that we would. Actually, we can't do anything that we would normally do. So we'll talk about that as we go along tonight, Cole, to kind of address some of those issues and what that looks like for the future. So anyway, as people are coming in, got some stuff coming up. So tomorrow, I want you to know that. Let me just kind of show, a little preview. Instagram tomorrow. We're doing like an Instagram stories game. Okay, so invite everybody to participate. Invite whoever's on Instagram. I think all y'all have Instagram. Somebody with Instagram. Team up with somebody. It's going to be like a little trivia deal. I'll announce it. I'll share a little bit more about it a little later. But tomorrow on Instagram, do a little hangout together with a little game. And so also, don't forget, Beach Retreat. Still the way it looks, the way it's shaping up, the way everything's going, into July, I think we're going to be good. Orange Beach, here we come. Romar Baptist, let's go. We know where that place is. We know how to run it. All right, who's up in here? Brogan says we need to play golf soon. Yes, socially distanced still. Brogan, I'm going to be honest with you. Game's kind of shaping up. Last few rounds. I'm just going to say that the last 9 holes, my last 27 holes, I have not shot, in each section of 9, I have not gone over 40. So just throwing that out there. Some decent golf is being played right now. Just going to go ahead and say it. Matthew, I made it. There you go, buddy. Good job. Cole, Ava, do me a favor and video proof that Klein is cheating. Okay. It's not it's not the Russians yet. But all right, like and share, hit the button, like and share, invite your friends, tell them, hey, we're live. If you're out there and you are, let's just say this. Okay. I know a lot of you guys are out there. I want to give a shout out because I never really do this. I always kind of forget. I get caught up in the comments. I get caught up with who's talking to me, who's not. I know a lot of you out there turn me on the TV and there is no comments on the TV. Like if you're watching on the Roku or Apple TV or something like that, you don't really see the comments. You just see me. and the screen. You don't participate in the comment section. You're just out there, like, just doing your thing and watching. And I get that, and I appreciate you. I want to give you a shout out tonight. I know that's a lot of you. I miss you. I miss talking to you. But I know that's the way you watch, and that's the way you got it going on. And hey, thank you for. I want to say this to all of you guys. Thank you for being so faithful. Today was supposed to be the Crawfish Bowl. Today was supposed to be our end of the year Crawfish Bowl. Usually tag team swim party, tag team, lots of fun, all that kind of stuff. So Justin, a little sad today. Missing my people. Still have to do, everything within the guidelines and all that kind of stuff. And so just want to let you know that was supposed to be today. I haven't forgotten about you. So anyway, for those of you who can't comment, who don't have the capabilities and all that kind of good stuff, know that I love you. I know you're still out there. Adam Mills says you can turn on and see comments on TV, YouTube. You just can't comment. So Adam, I think I knew that, but like mine, I turned it off. And so like whenever I watch, say for like when me and Natalie and Palmer were sitting down at home watching church live stream stuff, like we don't have comments on there. Like, so I'm running like the comment section for YouTube sometimes on my computer while watching it on TV and stuff like that. And then sometimes I have to run it for online, like the website, different things like that. So it's always something new. So anyway, but yeah. So, hey, glad you guys are here. If you haven't signed up for Beach Treat, sign up. That is online. I think like 2 weeks ago, I said it was, and it wasn't. My fault, my bad. I own it. My error, as you say. I can't possess bad. Your English teacher will tell you that. So, but sign up is online. So do that. Do that right now. Like as you're just thinking and you're sitting there going, should I type this comment? Should I send it? What game are we going to play? Like as you're just like as a million things are running through your head, let this be like 1,000,001 and then do it. All right. Anna wants a shout out because you mentioned Adam. I only saw Adam, but Anna, shout out to you as well as you are sitting there watching with Adam. And so, Anna, I'll give you that shout out. All right. So I mentioned a little bit. Well, let me take that back. We're going to play the game first because I know that a lot of people right now antsy. A lot of people are the pins and needles. A lot of people anxious, maybe a good word to use about the game situation going on, and what we have, what we don't have. So a good game that we played a couple of weeks ago was What's Behind the Mask. Now we're going to play part 2. What's Behind the Mask, Volume 2, Part 2. I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to read this and see it. So no excuses. Klein, we have just to let you know, there is video. The capabilities are now being seen on whether or not you're cheating. And so just know that you're being watched. You didn't know that happened, but over the last few days that happened. So anyway, just to keep everything above board, Cole says just like the Disney Family Sing-Along. I don't know about that. Speaking of Disney Family Sing-Along, we haven't been watching that. One, because generally that's our outside time. Palmer likes to go like after we eat dinner, go outside, we hang out a little bit, things like that. Also been really wrapped up in Michael Jordan stuff on Sunday nights, like that ESPN2 clean version. That is just what we're getting the whole family involved, teaching Palmer who MJ was, who the greatest basketball player to ever live. possibly one of the greatest competitors to ever compete. Just teaching her like just really solid life lessons and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, just we haven't really been doing Disney sing-along stuff yet. We've been more focused on how to compete, how to be a great competitor, how to have that drive, initiative, got to win. Some people might say you're not big enough, especially Palmer. She's still this big. I don't think she's broken 30 pounds yet, but like all these things, like we gotta figure out how to do that. We gotta figure, we gotta watch. In order to learn how to do greatness, you gotta watch it. So we gotta witness it. So MJ helping us with that. All right. Christy taught Palmer how to spell Disney today. She's ready to go. I'm sure she is until we actually get there and see characters and she flips out. That would be awesome. Like with Easter Bunny and Santa and the dog next door, all sorts of things, anything that's bigger. The dinosaur that came through the neighborhood, Palmer wanted nothing to do with that. So anyway, Cole says, let's send her to Disney World. Not right now. It's closed for the foreseeable future. All right, what's behind the mask? Part 2. Here we go. Keeping score in the trusty notebook. Klein's got 3 wins in a row. So, Klein, the Russians are watching. You need to know that. All right, first one. Remove the mask, and what kind of expression does Taylor have? Smile, frown, straight-faced. What is it? All right, I think we have an answer here. We have a winner with Brogan. No. Yes, we do have a winner with Brogan. It's straight-faced. She is straight-faced, even though Brogan, some would call it cheating. Brogan would call it a strategy. So there we go. Taylor, I don't know does she make another face? Like that's pretty much her face. So a lot of you guys came in with A. That's wrong. So Klein did come in first with B, but he was incorrect with the frown. All right, next one. Ooh, this one's going to be tough. This one's going to be tough. Pop star or actress, who is the person behind this mask? A, Katy Perry, or B, Zoe? Who is it? Who is it? Let's see. This one was Klein on my screen. I have it. Maddie, you were actually first, but it's Zoe and Klein had it. Brogan was right behind him. So just want to let y'all know, I can like it's coming in clear as day. Briley, you had the most right answers. Briley had the most right answers, but they were all like really, really late. So Briley, work on that West George internet while you're out there. All right. This one pretty easy. What's Steph Curry doing behind his mouth? But like what behind the mouthpiece? What is it? What is it? Let's see. Ooh, there we go. Look at Cole. Look at Cole coming in with the right answer. And Cole used the Brogan strategy there. Cole used the Brogan strategy. All right, so now we got three different players go in play. Cole went really Cole went really early. Well, I mean, he knew it, I guess. So anyway, coming up, y'all keep it clean on the comments, okay? Keep it clean on the comments. No fighting, no pushing, no shoving, no yelling. All right. So those were his answers for the last question. Maybe so. All right. What type of piercing will you find under the mask? Lip, nose, or tongue? And Cole is in slaughter right now. So if anybody's got slow internet, it's Cole. So which one will you find right here? And I got to give this one to Brogan. Brogan came in with the solid answer, nose. That looks painful. So Brogan with 2. I'm wondering how long it takes the internet to travel down Sunnyside. Because that's a long drive. But it can't be farther than Slaughter. So I don't know. And see, like what I think happens with Klein, like Klein sends it and it like butts out Briley and like kicks her off. And so everything's thrown off. All right. Next one. Not easy. What's behind the rock? Like what's behind the rock's face mask? Is it a beard? Is it clean? Is it a goatee? What is it? I got Maddie on my screen as the first winner. I got Maddie on my screen as the first winner. Cole, I will tell you what happened. You started sending answers, and one of them got stuck because it got way behind some others. So sorry about that, buddy, but not really sorry because it looked like you cheated. So what does Ed Sheeran have behind his mask? His lipstick, clown nose, lollipop. There we go. It's weird. Brogan Gibbon will get this answer correct. So Brogan has 3 right now. Clown nose. That's his natural nose, I thought, right? Is that his natural nose? All the girls totally mad at me right now. Okay, whatever. It is weird, though, that some of the same people struggle with getting, like, I don't know, like Briley, you have to be like 10 seconds behind. And I apologize for that, that happened for you. All right. Cole's rooting for Brogan. All right. Let's see. What is the emotion behind this mask of the emoji? Sad, indifferent, happy. Who is it? What is it? A, B, or C? Cole comes in with C, and that was his first answer. That was his only answer until now. I see A and B, but he had the right instinct. It was C. He's correct. We're moving on. We're going to go, what is the color of the macaroon that is behind the mask? What is the color of the macaroon behind the mask? Let me know. And I got to give a shout out. Well, one, I got to give a shout out to Klein, because Klein came in with A. And he came in with A very quickly. As I say very quickly, like the first person, his first answer. There he goes. I got to give a shout out to old Matty B. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The best I've ever had. That was the best I've ever had. Slightly chilled in the fridge. The best I've ever had. I normally don't really like I have to kind of be in the mood. But I could eat those things all day long. But I couldn't, because you know who did? Natalie. Okay, there you go. Nat, if you're watching, sorry, I outed you. But at the same time, I think I only got 1. Maybe 2. I don't know. But it wasn't nearly enough. And I don't think we had equal portions. So there you go. The best I've ever had. I don't even know what day that was. I don't even know how many weeks ago that was. It feels like it was yesterday or 2 months ago. I can't remember. So that's where I'm at. It wasn't yesterday, though, because I had wings yesterday. That was good. All right. So what are you going to see on the mug of this pug? Tongue out, smile, snarl. What is it? Brogan Gibbon comes in with the right answer, and he's got 4 now, and that is going to pretty much seal it for him. It's a tongue out. Okay, so how many of y'all have pug? Like how many people out there have a pug? Does anybody out there have a pug? I need to know. I need to know if you have a pug. My cousin's got a pug. He used to have 2 of them. And it's like a weird deal with the pugs, man. Like, they're a cool dog, but yet they're really kind of creepy because of the way they look at you and their nose. So I don't know. I don't know. Cole says he's got Bichon. So we have a Shih Tzu, probably dealing with a little doggy C now, but he's almost actually seems to be coming out of it a little bit. I'm not sure. So we don't know what's going on with him, but yeah, Will T wants. I don't see. I'd have to get. I don't know. Like supposedly they're really smart, and I think they are. But then that, like, how smart of a dog do you want? Do you want a dog that's smarter than you? It's a really, like, our dog thinks he's a cat, and like if you have ever had a Shih Tzu, you know like that what's theirs is theirs, and what's yours is theirs as well. So like our dog acts like a cat. Like he's just like, no, like if I want to do this, I'm gonna growl at you until you let me do it, type thing. So talking about dogs, we can talk about dogs all day long. I love dogs. I'm not a cat person. Not a cat person. All right, and if you are, I don't have anything against you being a cat person. That's just not me. Mango is the best cat, hands down. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know Mango personally, so I'm not gonna say it's not. I'm just not. I personally, like right here, I don't have that. Like cats, I don't know. We don't have a good history. So last one. Here we go. Where we're at. What are you going to see on the mug of this llama? Pucker, teeth, smile. What are we going to see? What are we going to see on this llama? Llamas are cool. Like they are. Like they're just a cool animal. Let's see. All right. Brogan comes in, seals the deal. There he is. Brogan seals the deal with B. It is B. Look at those teeth. Look at that. What a crazy goose. All right. So Brogan picks up a win right here. Let me do a count. Klein, good game, Brogan. Like, there we go. Good handshakes, hugs, all over. Well, we can't do hugs. Can't do handshakes. Elbow bumps, fist bumps, all kinds of stuff. So Brogan, I think that gives you 3. Because I got 1. Yeah. Got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. Brogan ends Klein's streak of 3 straight, and Klein still leads with 4. But Brogan's right behind him with 3. So all of this is unfair. Justin has this rigged. I do not. Just play the game, play it well, you know. It's not like golf. See, golf game can't be won; it can only be played. So Brogan can tell you that. Anyway, you can beat someone else, but you're always trying to play against yourself. Let's see. So there were some cat comments. I don't like cats, Tyler says, but Mango is awesome. Elizabeth said, don't take his word for it, though. So there's some dispute on Mango. Elizabeth may have some bias there that we don't really know about yet, but we'll find out. All right. So tomorrow, Instagram, need to tune in, Insta stories, tune into our stories, because we're going to be kind of going with this all day long, see who gets the right answer first, all this kind of stuff. So be tuning in to the Insta story. So we're going to have like a little trivia. It's called Who Dis. We're going to give a description of a Bible character, somebody in the Bible who did something, but we're going to give you 2 options, and you got to tell us who it is. All right. And so you got to respond to the story. Let us know who it is. All right. And so we'll kind of keep track of who was first and who was right and all that kind of good stuff. And at the end of the day, I'll let you know who was the winner. But got quite a few going on the Insta story. So make sure that you kind of tune in throughout the day. Could just randomly look at it, and like you could hit 2 or 3 at a time and possibly be the first one. You don't know. But interact with us on the story tomorrow. It's going to be a fun deal. I also have some like random questions I'll be asking. on the story as well to kind of throw it off and mix it up just to see your response. So I'm kind of like almost like would you rather, but it's like would you rather end of quarantine edition. Okay. So like it's like would you want to go to school? Your first day back at school is tomorrow, but it's exam day. Like, and you have like 4 tests. So yes or no? Yes or no? Like you get to go to school tomorrow, but it's exam day. Yes or no? Like, see, me, that'd be a hard no. I'm one more day at home. But I don't know about you. So we'll be asking some questions like that, just to kind of see where you are and how crazy things have gotten for you in your life. Brogan says, heck no. I wouldn't either, Brogan. I mean, just being honest, like it's, of course, y'all know me, my feelings on school. I'm not good at it, never was. And so it's a hard no for me. All right. So we've been, last week we started a series in 2 Kings chapter 5 on Naaman, and he's a guy with leprosy, but we're going to look at chapter 5 verses 7 through 14 today, and we're going to look at what happens with Naaman and his leprosy and some different things like that. And so tonight we're going to talk about submitting and submission, and a word that we really especially as Americans really don't like. And we know that by how hard this quarantine has been. And I'll be honest with you, it's a hard word. It's a hard word for me. It's a hard word for me to let sink into my heart a lot of times, and it's a hard word for me to really live out and express. So just kind of saying all that, we're going to dive really quick tonight. Some of you may really appreciate this. Not as many questions. Okay. Not as many questions. I am going to start off with one though. I'm going to start off with one because I want to hear about your story like really quick, and then okay. Okay, Garrett. I don't know what that means. I want to start off with your story, and then I'm going to kind of share my story. All right. So tell us about a time. Tell everybody in the comments about a time when you should have done what you were told, but didn't, and things went poorly for you from there. Okay. So tell us about a time when you should have done what you were told, but you didn't, and things went poorly from there. I'm going to take a sip of water before we get started. And while you are typing it out, I can hear many keyboards around Zachary typing right now. I did not buy this today. If you're wondering, Fiji water, it's so smooth. It's not like other water. It's weird. It's got almost a different texture, but it's still liquid. So random, going to my office today, looking for a phone charger. By the way, if you've texted me in the last 45 minutes, my phone's in my truck because it's about to die. I was looking for a charger, couldn't find one. So I put it on that one, and then I got started in here. So it's there. But anyway, I was like looking through my backpack. I was like, oh, look, water, Fiji water from the airport when I came back from Colorado and in Las Vegas and all that kind of stuff, and like my trip. And then everybody got COVID like right after. I'm still here. Water's still good. Put it in the refrigerator. Still as refreshing. So I feel like I made that bottle last way longer than it should have. All right. So nobody has a time where, like, apparently Everybody, guys, y'all need to know this. Guys watching on TV, not in the comment section, you don't see it. Everybody out there in the comment section, perfect. They don't have a story. If they do, they're still typing it, and it's incredibly long. And I could be here for hours reading them. But apparently, no one in the comments has ever done anything that they should not have done. So, all right, here, some of them are coming in. But some of them, apparently, like not that many people have ever done anything wrong. In that they should have, that every time they've been told you should do this, they've done it, which is amazing. So my aunt says, though, one time I was supposed to turn off the water in the bath. I did not. Then I flooded my house. So, okay. Okay. All right. Briley, one night I should have done the dishes, but I didn't, and had to do more dishes the next day. Briley, just say yes or no. The dishes and doing the dishes is like your number one nemesis. Like if you had an enemy of the day, it would be the dishes, and doing the dishes. I feel like you get in more trouble over the sink than you do anywhere else in your house. Elizabeth says, I have a terrible memory, so I cannot recall. Elizabeth, that is incorrect and factually inaccurate. And you're just, it's not happening. All right. Garrett says, every time someone gets in trouble, it ends poorly. Not all the time. We said a couple of weeks ago, Garrett, we talked about, hey, when's the last time you got in trouble and you received a great amount of mercy and grace? We talked about that. Like you didn't get the punishment that you deserved. Remember we talked about that. So Briley's got it easy. Yes. Why, Jack? So there we go. Family conversation right in the middle of the comments. Cousins hashing it out. All right. So I'm gonna tell you about a story. Some of you may have heard this, but this is like the first time in my life. This is the first time in my life that I remember getting into trouble. Okay, like I remember like legit like getting a whipping. Like, there's a lot of times, like even now, there's a lot of times where we've kind of, forcefully told Palmer not to do something, or like said, hey, don't do that, or popped your hand or something like that, saying, hey, get your attention. We don't do that. That's not what we do. All this kind of thing. Most of that years later, she will not remember type thing. But I remember the first time that I really, 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 really got in trouble. And I remember this vividly. And it was also, to me, I think, the first time I lied to my parents that I can vividly remember. So I don't even know how old I was. I was old enough. I was still sitting at the Little Tykes table. Okay. Not in the living room. So I mean, that had to be lower than kindergarten. So sitting at the Little Tykes table, you have to know, we were kind of raised. My dad was a firefighter. My mom was superhero businesswoman. So both careers like constantly coming and going. Like we lived a life just coming and going. We also lived way out in the country. So most of our food was to go all the time. Like it could be McDonald's, it could be this, could be that, like whatever. I mean, I could tell you every Hot Pocket back in the 90s. Okay. Like just every flavor, how it was. I could give you a full rundown review. But what that did was kind of, even at a very early age, kind of conditioned us to not like any hamburger except McDonald's, because theirs is like crack. Like once you get the box and the Happy Meal and the toy, and the burger is really simple. It's not a whole lot to eat. It's exactly what you want. You just take the pickles off. It's no big deal. Like you just want the cheeseburger and the wrapper. And for some reason, like you're addicted, and it's like that, like all of you know what I'm talking about. As a kid, you're like, oh, McDonald's, yeah, Happy Meal, toy, burger, fry, done. So that was the only burger that I liked. That was the only cheeseburger that I ever wanted. Like if somebody said, "Hey, we're gonna get cheeseburgers from Burger King," I didn't want that. Like I didn't want Burger King. I didn't like it. I didn't like mustard, and Burger King put a lot of mustard. They still do on their burgers, so I didn't like it. Yes, Jack, I take the pickles off. Don't like. There is no good pickle unless it's fried. So anyway, so that's the only cheeseburger I wanted. Now, as an adult, you start to get the sense that, and even as you get older as a teenager, you start to get the sense that, okay, McDonald's isn't the best out there, especially just the cheeseburger. And so like you want different hamburgers. So you really appreciate homemade hamburgers, like big, thick, juicy hamburgers. And so, which McDonald's is not. So my dad, we go home one night and he cooks hamburgers. Well, I don't like that kind of hamburger. I expressed my dislike of the hamburger and how I really didn't want to eat that hamburger. Didn't taste the same as McDonald's. It didn't. Burger Smith is good, Jack. So like, you have all these things like, little kid, you don't understand. You can't just go to McDonald's, all this kind of stuff. You can't just didn't have waiter. So dad like fixes these hamburgers, takes all this, does all the thing, fixes the hamburgers, puts it on a plate and says, you need to eat all of this. I don't care if you don't eat your French fries. I don't care if you did, but the whole parent rule, you need to eat this. If you want dessert, you need to eat this. Basically, which in our house was, if you want ice cream, you need to eat this. Okay, so anyway, I thought I ate a few bites, didn't like it, obviously, little kid, but my dad is still the dad. You don't throw a fit in front of my dad, okay? Like that just didn't go well. Like he was always going to win that battle. I think even today he'd still win that battle. So I take the hamburger, and for some reason we were eating on paper plates. I don't remember why. And I take the hamburger and the paper plate, turn the plate over, and I'm like kindergarten underage here. So turn the plate over, put it in the trash can, and in my little mind, I'm like, I got this covered. Like, I can't see the burger under the plate. Dad will never see the burger under the plate. I hid it. Like, I hid it in the trash can. We'll just throw some other trash on top of it eventually, and nothing will ever happen. He'll never know. Dad, can I get some ice cream? Did you finish your burger? Yeah. Yeah, finished. Look. Oh, no. Threw my plate away. Yep, good to go. Let me just say to all of you who still think that would work, it doesn't. I remember, even though I was told I should eat all my hamburger before I even approached the situation of ice cream and dessert, I didn't do that. And it went poorly from there. That was the first time I remember getting a whipping. And my dad was furious. First time, and I think he was more furious that, not that I didn't finish, but that I lied about it. And that I was, that was kind of like a realization of that moment of 4 or 5 years old. And here you are lying about eating a hamburger. So that didn't go well. It didn't go as I thought it was. It didn't go like I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to get off scot-free. I didn't. And it was such a memorable moment that at 38 years old, so 34 years later-ish, I still can remember. I know exactly what I did. I know exactly how I got punished. I can hear the conversations that we had in my house growing up around that whole situation. So that's my story. Let me kind of go with Naaman, though. Okay, so last week, looked at Naaman and how he was the general in Aram who had kidnapped a little girl to be a servant's wife. We talked about that. The girl laid down her pride, forgave him, and told him how he could be healed if he went to God's prophet. So Naaman gathered wealth, like over $2 million worth of stuff, and he went to the king of Israel. And he headed straight to the king in his palace because that's where the important people are. And that's what he was going to do. So let's read about it. Verse 7. We're going to kind of hop, like, I don't say hop around, but we're going to pause through all of this as we read together. So I broke it up tonight to let us read together and then pause. So, and when the king, this is verse 7, chapter 5, 2 Kings, chapter 5, verse 7. Here we go. And when the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, "Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Only consider and see how he is seeking quarrel with me." Okay. This was a really wordy way for the king of Israel to say, "I'm scared out of my mind. I have no clue why this man would come to me with this much money, asking to be healed in no uncertain terms, only to pick a fight with me." Basically, he was saying, the only reason you came here was so that I would reject you, and then you would get mad and kill me or start a fight with us. You've already been doing all of this. And so all of a sudden, King of Israel is like, "I'm tearing my robes. I'm doing this." Like he's just like, he's done. He's done. Like why do you keep ravaging my people? Why do you keep coming in and stealing people, making some of my people your slaves, making them your servants and all this kind of stuff? And then you're going to come to me and say, "Hey, I want you to do this." So yeah, he's not thinking they had the best interest in mind. He's actually, the king of Israel is like, "You know what? I could blame you for a lot of things going on right now, and I am, and then you're going to come to me with this situation and this stuff and this demand question." And somebody was calling me right now, and my computer picked it up. That was crazy. Anyway, it was spam. It actually said spam risk, so I declined it. Spam people. So here he is. Here's the king of Israel going, "I don't think so, bud. Like, what in the world?" But he makes a big dramatic deal about it. But makes a big dramatic deal about it because he is scared. He's scared out of his mind. Okay, so let's move on. Verse 8 and 9. But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes. Okay, tearing the clothes, big deal. Okay, that's a big deal in that culture. And what was going on there, like that's a big deal. So news traveled fast. Word got out. Word got out of the palace. Word got out of it from everybody. Like, "Hey, did you hear? King tore his clothes. King tore his clothes. King tore his clothes." And then, like, it was one of those little. It was like the secret game where everybody's whispering around, but it didn't change. Like, King tore his clothes. Like, that was a big deal. Okay, you didn't mess that one up. And like, King maybe tore his clothes. No. King tore his clothes. Okay, so words get around. So he sent to the king saying, "Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Elisha starts to ask the king, like, "Hey, I'm not going up there." Like, he sends a text message like, "Hey, dude, why'd you tear your clothes? Why'd you tear your clothes? Like, if I'm a prophet. If he's got, there's something that he needs, like, send him to me." So, verse 9, so Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stood at the door of Elisha's house. So Elisha sends a text message up there, says, "Hey, listen, king, if you need anything, like, don't freak out. Like, if that guy needs a prophet, I am a prophet." Like, I guess they were on first name basis. They were texting each other. All of a sudden, he's like, "Hey, like, just send him over here and let me see if I can do something." All right. So, Elisha kind of shows right here, he's confident, and he's not really confident in himself so much that he's confident in what God is going to be able to do. And he's confident that God is going to be able to do a mighty work through him since he was a prophet. Elisha was the right-hand man to who? Does anybody remember in the comments? Really quick, is the right-hand man to who? Elisha was the right-hand man to, waiting for it. While I'm waiting. He was a prophet, the guy who was the right-hand man to. He was a prophet who wandered the countryside and killed the prophets of Baal, called down fire from heaven onto the offering at Mount Carmel. Logan, there he is, Elijah. Yes, Elisha was his understudy, and Elijah had been taken up to heaven by a chariot of fire, and Elisha received all the power that God had given to Elijah. So there you go. But Elisha was different, the different kind of prophet. He was more of the quiet type. He had his house where he lived and he served from. He was kind of quiet. He was way more into sending like text messages and group chats than he was about going around like destroying other prophets and stuff like that, like, images and all that kind of stuff. He was a little bit more subdued. It was almost like Elijah was that guy, was the guy who just went out and he was he would do stuff. Elisha had the blog. You know what I'm saying? He's in his house. He's just like, hey guys, here's 10 things to think about today about how, the goodness of God. And if you don't, he may strike you down, type thing. So that was kind of Elisha. So here's something that's funny though. Naaman went to the palace, right? He went to the palace where he thought important things happened and important people lived. The thing is, a lot of time God doesn't act, and he doesn't act and think like we think, and he doesn't act and think like we think he should. And maybe even the king didn't want the prophet living in, or didn't want the prophet living in his palace. Maybe he wanted what God was doing, to be far away from him. See, at this point in time, the kings, we kind of talked about that last week, the kings of Israel were wandering far away from what God wanted them to do. And so even though they knew that God would talk to his prophets who were in Israel, notice the prophet isn't anywhere around the king. Totally different time, or totally different sermon for a totally different day, but kind of something we can gleam upon. All right, so goes to the king. King says, what am I supposed to do? Tear my clothes. You're obviously here to attack me. Elisha finds out, texts the king, says, hey, send him over to my place. Think I can do something about it. I am a prophet, by the way. So credentials met. Let's look at verse 10. And Elisha, let's see where I'm at. And Elisha sent a messenger to him saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. Now, we'll pause right here because notice what Elisha does. Does Elisha come out, greet him, tell him like, hey, good to see you, glad you're here, all this kind of stuff? No, not really. Can you imagine how Naaman felt? Here he is, he goes to the palace, talks to the king. He's got $2 million. He's still carrying around $2 million worth of stuff. He goes to the palace. King tears his clothes and is basically like, get out of here. Go see Elisha. Who's the first one to text me? Go see Elisha. Elisha wants to see you. Then he goes to Elisha's house. He's carrying $2 million, got all his stuff. And Elisha sends someone out to talk to him. Elisha doesn't come out of his house. He sends somebody else out and says, hey, here's what the prophet said to do. Go wash in the Jordan. All right. I don't know how many of y'all have ever seen the Jordan River. I got a picture of it right here. It's not great. It reminds me a lot of, you see a picture of the Rio Grande, Texas, Mexican border type thing. It can get really dirty. Now there's times and spots where it can get really clean if they're going through a long drought, something like that. But it has the tendency, that would be a kind of a clean picture at most points. So it has the tendency to be not the prettiest and not the best of looking rivers that Elisha could have sent him to. There was actually 2 other rivers around there that are better looking rivers than that. But let's go back for a second. Let's pick up on verse 11 and 12. But Naaman was angry and went away, saying, "Behold, I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call upon the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel?" See, Naaman says, like, there's better rivers. There's more nutrient-rich rivers. There's more mineral-rich rivers than the one he's sending me to, than the Jordan. Could I not wash in them and be clean? So he went away in a rage. All right, so now you got Naaman, who doesn't want to go to that river. He wants to go to a more clean river somewhere else around Damascus. Okay, he says, can't he send me to that one? Also, still carrying around 2 mil, still all his stuff, still got leprosy. He's mad now. So now we got King of Israel who's mad. He done tore his clothes. He's got to go get a new outfit. Then we got Naaman. He goes to the prophet. Prophet sends out his boy. His boy says, "Hey, just go wash in this river." He says, "No, like that's the dirty river. Why can't you send me to this river?" Okay, so kind of gross river. Okay, there were much prettier rivers other else. So Naaman said he expected someone to come out though and wave his hand over the spot where he's got leprosy, and all of a sudden he would be clean. Call on the name of the Lord, he will be clean. Does this remind you of a story in the New Testament? Does this remind you of a story in the New Testament? I don't have that question up there, but if it does, let me know in the comments what story in the New Testament it reminds you of, because it should. There's a story here there's a story in the New Testament that kind of mirrors this, an encounter with Jesus, where somebody has an encounter with Jesus, where they say, here's how I know that this could happen. You could do this, and this would happen. So not so much an encounter with, hey, I have everything and I'm going to go away mad, Elizabeth, although I could see that right here. But an encounter where, hey, I have the faith for this to happen, but I need you to do it. I have the faith for this to happen, but I need you to do it. Think Jesus and his healing power, because that's what it's really all about. And while you're thinking about that, it mirrors it so much that they almost use the same phraseology. If you're taking notes, if you're jotting down, if you maybe even in 2 Kings chapter 5 and verses 7 through 14, make a little note. If you have a notes Bible, if you have something like that, make a little note. Matthew 5, 8 through 13. It reminds us of the faith of the centurion. Remember where he says, and I'll kind of summarize. Jesus walks into a city, and a centurion or a Roman soldier approached him and said, "I'm not worthy for you to come to my house, but I understand authority. I tell people to do things and they do it. Just say the word, and my servant who is sick with a fever will be healed." Just say the word. And all of a sudden this will happen. Jesus, as you recall in that story, is amazed by this guy's faith and healed the servant from far away. And so what we're reminded by that is God is everywhere and in control of everything. We find a lot of comfort in that. And he often acts in ways that don't make sense to us. And we expect someone to have an active part in the healing. And Naaman kind of says, hey, your God can do this. So why don't you come out here, wave your hand over, and just let this be done? But, okay, so Elisha's servant told Naaman, go wash in the Jordan. Naaman threw a temper tantrum and a little fit, and he left. And he left. As he left, though, his servants kind of approach him. So let's pick up there, verse 13. And so he says this, but his servants came near him and said to him, my father, it is a great word that the prophet has spoken to you. Ooh, listen to that. It's a great word. It's a great word. Keep that right here. It's a great word that the prophet has spoken to you. Will you not do it? Has he actually said to you, wash and be clean? So we pause right here. Servants of the great general let him walk away angry for a minute, I'm sure. But then they come up to him and they're like, hey, Mr. Naaman, sir, if you had asked him to pay him, if you had asked you to pay all this money and do all these things you brought, take a bath in honey or something like that and run away, like, would you do that? Would you do anything else that he asked? Like, if basically they were like, hey, what if he said, hey, I want you to bathe in honey and then walk up to this bear that's not Winnie the Pooh. Would you do it if it would take away the leprosy? Probably so. Like, you're desperate. So, yeah, there might be better rivers out there, but this one's right here. Like, let's just do it. And they kind of get to the point of what we're talking about today. So we often have an idea of what God wants us to do. And it looks dramatically different than what he wants to do. That's generally the way it works for us. We often have this concept of what God wants to do and wants to do in our life. He wants to do in our church. He wants to do in our home. He wants to do in our world. And so often we kind of look back in our own lives and say, that ain't it. That wasn't it. Like, what I thought and with the concept in my mind of what God wanted to do and how he wanted to work and what he wanted to accomplish wasn't it. Like, that wasn't it. And so we need to think about, like, we need to kind of read this and say, you know what? There are times in our lives where we start doing the same thing. Hey, God, I want you to do this. Hey, God, don't you think it'd be great if you did this for me? Hey, God, what about this right here? And then God doesn't do it and we storm off like Naaman. And then someone has to come and gently remind us, hey, sometimes the Holy Spirit, sometimes a friend, sometimes a parent, like, hey, what if this was what God wanted right here? What if God wanted you just to submit and let him do the rest of that work? See, that was what was missing with Naaman, was the submission part. He was struggling with just submitting to what God's prophet had told him to. All right, so I'm sorry, I didn't put 13 up there, but now we'll go to 14. All right, so what did Naaman do? What did Naaman do? So we go to 14. Here's what he does. So he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. And his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. So his skin became as smooth as a baby's bottom. Which I don't know why we use that. Like, why, like, I don't know. Can we use that phrase anymore? So really weird way to say it was awesome. Like, he had the best skin. So Naaman was healed because he submitted to what Elisha told him to do. In other words, Naaman was healed because he put his faith in God and what God had told his prophet, not in himself. Not in his people, not in his land, not in anything anywhere remotely involving him, but it was what God wanted him to do. He submitted to what God wanted him to do. There's two things we can take away from tonight, though, other than submission. Okay, we see 2 things. We see a great word. Remember what the servant said. Hey, this is a great word, what Elijah has spoken, what the prophet has said to you. Because they recognize this wasn't just an ordinary this wasn't just an ordinary command or request, or this wasn't the king saying, well, here's what you should do. Maybe, I think, I don't know. This is what we found in a recent study or poll that we took or did. No. This was the word from God through his prophet. It was a great word. It wasn't a word that should be taken lightly. So when we receive God's word, we shouldn't take it lightly. We shouldn't just throw it out. And then 2, we see a great transformation because of the listening to the great word. Look at this. He comes up. Remember, I showed you the picture last week of the leper and how that looks and what that looks like, what that does to your skin. And all of a sudden we see a great transformation. Now he doesn't even look like a great general and maybe like just kind of burly and wrinkles and burnt skin type, just like been out in the sun all the time in a hot, arid climate and old, no. He's got new skin. He's got the skin of a young boy. Great, like a total transformation through a great word. All because of the submission to what God wanted him to do. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this tonight, and we'll wrap up with this. What do you need to do? What do you need to do in your life to submit to God? What do you need to do in your life to submit to God? Now, I'm asking this from the standpoint of, what are some things that you're doing right now that remind you of Naaman? What are some things right now that are going on in your life that reminds you, like whenever we read this story, you say, oh, in this section, in this part of my life, I look a lot like Naaman. And as I read this and I reflect and I let the word of God, pierce my heart and really just, allow the Spirit to work and move through this scripture, I see there's a lot of times where Naaman and I look very similar. Our heart is saying, but God, I wanted it this way. And the Lord is saying, it's okay that you wanted it that way, but here's the way that I have planned. Here's what I had in store for you. Here's the way that this really should go. Here's what I have. Yeah, there's other shiny rivers over there. There's other shiny places over there. There's other good things over in those areas. But this river is the one that I say is going to restore you if you submit to me. Totally different in its context when we start to look at and say, what are some areas of our life that we need restoring, but we need to submit first? And see, that total transformation, the way that we look and view ourselves, and we look and say, what is God's will for our life? What does God want to do in my life? It should be, how do I submit to God and give my life totally to him? Don't hang on to anything else. Lord, I pray that tonight we would be reminded of that this story of Naaman and his healing would remind us that we can't hold on to the things that we think are better, that we think we know better, that we think are greater in all their contexts. We need to let go of all those things. We need to really submit fully to you. There are aspects of our lives, there's aspects of my life, Lord, I know that I have not submitted fully to you and that I need to work on that daily, that the gospel needs to work in my heart daily to submit to you fully. So, Lord, I pray that we would do that. I pray that we would focus on that. I pray that we would take time to read and study your word, and so that we can apply that in our life. So, Father, we thank you for being with us as we gather. We thank you for, Lord, we know that even as we are separated still, that you are with us and you keep us connected together. So, Father, we thank you for that. We thank you for all things. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. I want to finish up with this. One of the things that I didn't want to compete with tomorrow night, so which is kind of why we're doing an Instagram game instead of a Zoom game. Brother Paul is doing a Facebook Live tomorrow night. If you have Facebook or if you get on your parents' Facebook or something like that, I invite you, your family, tune into that. He's going to be doing a Q&A and answering a lot of questions about us restarting. And I didn't want to say anything about what that looks like. Let me just say this: restarting for church as a whole is going to look different than restarting for student ministry, and how we're able to do some things and do some things here, maybe do some things elsewhere and stuff like that. So Logan asks, is this the last Wednesday night? No, we're going to continue gathering. We're going to continue gathering online for the time being. We will switch more than likely the 1st of June, and I say like probably the first Wednesday night of June. It looks as if we basically, once we get to 50% or phase 2 for churches, we'll be able to gather in the crossing each week, and I'll be putting out something for that. 25% though, there's just so much that we can't do. We have to sit 6 feet apart. We can only have 25% occupancy, all these sorts of things that really we can accomplish better things. He just streamline more things here online. But once we get to phase 2, which we think will be the beginning of June for student ministry wise, we'll be able to meet and gather together. We're pretty confident in that. So that's what we're looking forward to. But no, I'm not going to stop doing Wednesdays just because summer has officially started. We're going to continue to gather online and continue to gather even on Sundays at 9:45 for the time being online. We will be making some transitions the end of this month and things like that. So at the beginning of next month. So I'll let Brother Paul tell you about those as far as church-wide. But no, this will be kind of a different summer from the standpoint. We'll probably never lose or never. My plan is, Logan, since you asked the question, my plan is that we will probably not stop meeting on Wednesday this summer. I feel like we've lost. I don't want to say we lost because we still hung out. We're still together every Wednesday, but I feel like we lost so much time together this spring on Wednesdays that we can make it up in the summer and just continue to meet on Wednesdays, as just going forward. Once we get to phase 2, phase 2 makes it to where we can do that comfortably, and not even comfortable, like just makes it possible to do that. So anyway, that looks like it's going to come the 1st of June. So I'll be sending out some other stuff like a summer schedule and all that kind of stuff when I know, okay, this is what looking down, we'll have a couple of weeks advance, I think, or at least a week to kind of make those preps and all that kind of stuff. And so I'll be sending out stuff then for that. Anyway, all that being said, thank you guys for being here. Tune in to the Facebook Live tomorrow night. Hopefully get some questions answered. Submit a question. Let Brother Paul know you're there, you're watching, all that kind of good stuff. Look for us on our Insta story tomorrow. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of cool stuff going down. All right. Great seeing you guys tonight, and we will see you Sunday morning right here on our YouTube Live for Life Group Live. All right. See you then.